oh my God, it'll actually stay there. Excellent. It almost looks like I'm talking into this microphone, which I am not. Folks, so we might just do it like this. This might be the shape of the live stream today. Thank you so much for, joining, even though it's a little technically weird. Welcome. So folks, where are you coming from now? Where are we finding you from? Where are folks joining us from? Are you, I thought I saw, Nick is on the line, so I think that's Karlstad, Sweden. Is that where you're coming from? I actually don't know how long the delay is either on the live stream here. So, oh, that's La Cruces, New Mexico. Oh, that's very cool, New Mexico. What did I recently hear about New Mexico? No, I'm sorry, that's a mistake. That's not in New Mexico. But thank you for joining us. Very nice to see you here, Liz. This is totally embarrassing. I was actually thinking about a show I'm watching right now about Mexico. Very different situation. So there's the general shape of things. What about, close enough, yeah, New Mexico, Mexico. Well, listen, that's the best we can get in life, is get close enough. So today, folks, I have very good news. We're going to be meditating. And because of this, it's going to be our jam. It's going to be life-changing. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be cool because we're getting into a little bit of an experimental territory, because I like to experiment now and then and not just have it all planned out. So we're going to be doing some experimental meditation, in particular around equanimity. And I'd like to develop a whole set of practices around equanimity. In order to develop practice, I typically just have to do practices with people. That's typically the way I'll do it. And that's what we're going to try to do. So folks, let me know if you have any questions before we begin. We're going to be doing about 25 minutes of formal practice, meaning we're going to be finding a place that we can stay still for the duration of the practice. And then at the end, we're going to have some time to ask questions and that kind of thing. Maybe the computer will be working by then. Who knows? It's a crazy world. And we will go from there. So finding a nice, comfortable position. Okay. Thanks everyone for your flexibility. I really appreciate that. So finding that nice comfortable position. And when you're ready, we'll begin. Just one moment, I have some loud background noise, which will make the recording very problematic. So I'll be back in 30 seconds. And we're back. We did it, folks. Okay. And we'll begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths and just feeling the body rise and fall. Each time we arrive at a practice, We arrive with the momentum of all of the previous moments. So noticing that we can intervene or push against this experience of the present moment arising, or to some degree we can get it out of the way. Experience the momentum of the body-mind in this moment without needing to do something or be someone. So as we move through the body to systematically relax, rather than actively relaxing, see if we can simply do less and allow that to be the way that we relax the body. So starting at the top of the head, allow the forehead to relax. Allow the muscles behind the eyes to let go on their own. Allow the face to go smooth. Relax the back of the tongue and let the jaw go slack. Relax the neck and the shoulders, the upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists. And as we feel the subtle sensations in the palms of the hands and tips of the fingers, again, letting go of doing, letting go of any activation, any unconscious tightening that we've cultivated in the hands. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. And noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes on its own. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs. The knees and calves. The ankles and relaxing the feet. Without changing anything, without affecting anything. Simply knowing that there is relaxation in the body. Knowing that there is sensation in general. Knowing that our aim is to find a balance between a large open awareness the mind simply knowing the experiences of our senses, and to also know some detail of the breath, and approaching this from the perspective of how little effort do we need to apply in order to find this balance. How much do we personally need to do? How much intervention is actually required? And seeing if we can find that minimum. Knowing that if we look for the minimum amount of effort to find this balance, it may mean that we drift into unconsciousness now and then. That's okay, simply coming back. Noticing how little doing is actually needed to exist as a human body-mind. It simply knows this present experience. Almost as though we're letting our attention and awareness find their own balance. a slight transition. We're going to let go of any particular technique. Let go of any way of meditating. In fact, letting go of meditating altogether. We're just going to be a human body-mind. We're not going to try to intervene in any conscious way. This can be a very challenging form of meditation for people who are used to directing their practice. Many impulses arise. A strong one is to meditate, to know this present moment with clarity and detail, with acceptance. So we're not trying to meditate, we're not trying to not meditate. We're not trying to stop any impulses from arising. Not trying to be aware. Not trying to know or notice. Not even trying to bring ourselves back from distraction. slow or direct the mind. An impulse arises, not trying to stop that impulse. Meditation habits may arise, a tendency to observe or watch, analyze, deconstruct. Not stopping these impulses, not even working to notice them. If judgment arises, not even letting go of that. Not even just being. There's not even a need to be. slowly opening. Eventually resting on a point. Not needing this meditation to be something to be impactful. Not needing to have learned or discovered. Okay. So folks, what was that like? What happened and what are you like now? I've just been informed by the phone gods. My phone is low on energy. Well, we'll see how far that gets us. So folks, what was that like? We haven't done a practice like that in some time. This is as close as I generally get to what might be called a non-doing practice, a shikantaza. I was giving about 1,000,000 times more instruction than your ordinary shikantaza might give. Typically, you just sit down and you'd report and ask questions and say, what am I supposed to do? And they'd say, oh my God, you're asking way too many questions. More relaxing than regular meditation. Also, I suddenly can't hear you. Can you hear me now? Let me know if I'm more or less audible. Okay, contrast with the usual meditation. I don't have... You can't hear me. Okay, one sec. Let me know if you can hear me now. Am I audible at this point? Okay, good. You can hear me now. Okay, well, that's good to know. It's funny. Okay, so I gotta change a setting here so I can only read part of your comments here. I say it's peaceful trying to move towards. I can't read. It's part of the word is cut off because of the damn notch on the phone. I don't know if I can move these over. Okay, move towards a particular something. Yeah. I can hear you now. It was me. My sound was okay. Okay, well, there you go. Hopefully, I unplugged the headphones and that'll have some difference. Actually, if I unplug the headphones, that means I could actually put in the charger. So we'll see how we go for time and everything, and then we'll see if we need a charger. Excellent. Yeah, it's really interesting doing that kind of practice. Even now, a moment ago, I was like, oh, I need to adjust the audio because people can't hear. And I was like, don't adjust the audio. Don't not adjust the audio. Like the system was still doing this thing. It's basically a practice that in large part can help develop equanimity really deeply. So just to notice that is that's a thing. Okay, any other reports or questions? I wonder, is Discord working? Even Discord's not starting. I wonder if it's just like internet is fully down and that's the reason. I don't know why that would make programs not even start. Let's see. You feel the urge to move during that practice, did it or not? Oh, if you feel the urge to move. So it's interesting. I didn't mention it during the practice because I was actually just really trying to emphasize the non-doing side of it. Yet, in that practice, typically that would be the one place where there is some doing, which is around you find a way to hold the body still and you stay in that position. What's interesting, so actually, let me check something because I'm going to need to get the power cord is going to turn off. So I'm going to be back in, let's say, 1 minute. Entertain yourselves, say hello, connect. There are lots of fun people on here. I'm going to be back in 1 moment and we'll have enough power to keep going. Be right back. Hey, I'm back. Thanks for joining us here. Okay. There we go. Can I fit this? Can I even do this? Oh, there we go. Excellent. We're live and we are not about to die. Okay, so if you feel the urge to move, should you do it? So what's interesting about this practice is that every practice, the way that I look at it, there has to be some degree of structure and balance between wakefulness and restfulness. If a practice is overly wakeful, it's too much energy and we just get, agitated and that kind of thing. If it's too restful, meaning there's too little sort of doing or intervention, etc., you can imagine like laying down and practicing. If you have a lot of energy in the body already, and there's this much, up energy, and you put a lot of down energy in the body, just laying still, maybe with the eyes closed, it'll kind of balance out. But if you have too little energy, and then you have, lay down, you're just going to fall asleep, that kind of thing. So in this practice, for a long time with this type of practice, I wondered, what is it, like, how does this practice function, given the fact that there's just no intervention. You're not trying to stop your mind from wandering. You're not trying to, there's nothing you're trying to do in any way. And for a half-hour guided meditation, that's no big deal because, hey, listen, there's someone there to remind you every few minutes. But what happens when you're doing this on a retreat for days and days and days? The system's falling asleep, it's getting distracted, all these things are sort of ongoing. So how is it possible that you could get anything done? Why isn't it not just the exact same as sitting around watching TV, that kind of thing? What I realized at some point is what they do in this type of practice is they outsource the structure, they outsource the wakefulness, because all you do is sit there in stillness. And if you change your posture, if you lilt, or if you start to nod off, fall asleep, there's someone walking back and forth through the rows with a stick. And if you mess up, they will hit you. And it's sort of this, it's outsourcing the internal need to sort of guide and control the meditation. So all you actually do is you have this, kind of perfect posture. You have all the sort of tropes of classic Zen posture, and if you break that down, you have a physical trigger that will tell you you've done something wrong. Now, it's a little different than people think, that the person's there and they're going to hurt you and hit you and beat you up. It's actually not. It's actually quite, it has to be consensual. The person comes and they stand in front of you, and there's enough awareness to know, okay, now they're in front of me, and you have to accept, and you effectively like lean over to accept the fact that they're going to, to do this. And then they hit you on the top of the neck here, which hits a nerve that actually tends to wake the system up. They hit you once on this shoulder, once on that shoulder, and then you're sort of like energized, in part because they hit you, but also it's not like getting hit in the head or something. It's not like you're just like whap, or, it's made to sort of wake the entire system up. So then your whole system's woken up and you're just not doing anything again. And that sort of outsourcing of the doing means that you can let go effectively. You can not need to do anything at such a high level that it actually will push you forward more than many practices. So that's a longer answer to your question. Should you move the body? The answer is no, you should not. But of course, you're not in meditation jail, at least not in this, the way that I'm doing it. So you can if you need to, especially if you have a background with trauma or that kind of thing. You're going to want to be kind to yourself, gentle, and make sure that you move. That's generally it. Any other questions, reports, curiosities, these kind of things? What challenges do people have coming today that they love some or would like some input or support around? If people are waiting to type in, I'm just going to see if the internet is just working in general. And I don't see no, it's working. I don't see why that would stop the streaming platform from working. We'll see. Yeah, what else is going on in people's lives? What a lovely day. I find this thing with a lot of really intense non-doing, the system won't want to fixate or do anything. I can find myself like sort of glazing over and, dazing, like, looking off into the distance kind of thing. Anyway, okay. It's funny, I apologize because I can't, okay, where are I'm trying to read your comments, but it's cutting off. Oh, here we go. Whoa. That is quite okay, Nick says, it's interesting actually not trying to do anything. Feels like the use of it can't really be properly expressed in language, at least not mine. Yeah, it's interesting because, and it's also, you notice in the instructions, it wasn't like not trying to do anything. It was not trying to do anything and not trying to do anything. Not, noticing and not noticing. Effectively, when you start getting into the language on this kind of thing, it gets very tricky. It gets very because every word you use is a little bit problematic. But one way of saying it is to say, letting the system just exist, but you're not even letting, because the letting is like a kind of doing. You start having to break down sort of ordinary language. It's just doing is doing, effectively. Okay, let's see here. Nick says, that tricky thing. Liz says, do we think this works well as a practice compared to something like mindfulness of breath if you don't have someone to whack you with a stick, like just a home practice for an hour or a day or something like that? Honestly, you're going to have to check and see for yourself, because I think the answer is yes. It is useful. One of the challenges with this kind of practice is it very much can often not feel that useful. And I think one of the nice benefits of meditation is not only does it help shape the way we relate to the world, the way we relate to ourselves, that kind of thing, we can tell that it's shaping that thing. I'm trying to think of something that shapes us and we can't really tell. The atmosphere is a good example. The atmosphere and the pressure and the amount of nutrients and chemicals and these kind of things that are in. Is it nutrients or nutrients in the atmosphere? Anyway, the chemical makeup of our atmosphere is very much shaping our experience all the time. Apparently, there was this period in prehistoric history where I forget what it was. There was tons and tons of oxygen in the atmosphere, but not enough pressure to whatever. But what it meant is that insects were giant. Insects were just 4-foot long caterpillars or centipedes and stuff. And it was because of just the shape, the pressure of the atmosphere versus the amount of oxygen, etc. I'm not sure what the makeup is, but obviously I'm a scientist and I'm explaining this from a literal perspective. So it's something that's shaping us and we don't know. So this practice will tend to shape us and we can't necessarily feel it. Or sometimes you come out of the practice and you can imagine, maybe you feel more relaxed now, but you can imagine actually feeling a little more just ungrounded and kind of weird and maybe even yucky, your mind was racing the entire time. And that's just the case. That can happen. So part of it is that I find that this practice really works for some people at certain times. It really doesn't work for other people at certain times. For myself, it didn't work for a really long time. I find that now it's a really, really pleasurable, sort of enjoyable practice, and I can really feel the impact, but it's not always the case. So really the tough answer is you got to try it out and see how it works for you. But what's without someone there to guide you, what I find will tend to come up is the system will keep saying, well, what do you want me to do? I'll just pay attention. I'm sure I should pay attention. I'm sure I should do something because, and the system just keeps trying to exert itself and, be the thing that will drive the process. And then the other part will come up and say, stop trying to exert yourself. Don't try to, which is the same exact, drive, just sort of a different shape. And so a lot of the practice, and this is people who practice this, a lot of the question is, am I doing this right? Am I doing anything? Am I here for any reason? And so a lot of doing this practice often depends on having a kind of, I don't want to say guru, but depends on having a teacher who you respect so much that they just say, listen, this is what we do. This is the best practice. This is the one that will really change you, because most teachers say that about whatever the practice is. And you believe them and you say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then over the course of years and decades, etc., there's these massive effects. And the way that you can think about it in comparison to, say, Vipassana or something, with Vipassana, you're instant by instant sort of drilling down into the rock, grain by grain, pulling things apart and, sometimes analyzing the entire rock in front of you, and then just maybe you can slip around it because of the way you're looking at it. With this, it's you're in the mountain and you're letting erosion sort of on its own, work its way to you without trying to do anything. So from your perspective, nothing's happening. You're just in a mountain. And It is historically known to happen, though, that this really does transform people, really does change people in their way of relate to the world, but it's going to work differently for different people. So that's the short and long answer. Hopefully that's helpful. I'm going to have to jump off in just a sec. Let me check my calendar. So any other questions, just let me know before I have to jump off. Yeah, I got somebody coming up. Well, and then I also go to therapy today, which is fun. I'm doing this new therapy. This is exciting. I'm doing this new therapy that is a type of neurofeedback. I've been doing neurofeedback for a while, and it's really fascinating and interesting. But this one is different and sort of more interesting in a certain way, or at least it's more interesting to me right now. You lay down. I have a heavy weighted blanket on me. It's like basically like a 50-pound weighted blanket, and and you sit there and you end up hovering right at this place right between like hypnagogic sleep and being awake. And in that area, there's sounds and different things happening. And you don't try to make the sounds change. You don't try to do anything, but the sounds are changing. The sounds are happening in some way. And what apparently it's using is the tendency of the mind to lean towards certain preferences, certain harmonies, certain, like the absence of certain types of sound. Like for instance, the eye. This is an example of this. But the eye likes when things resolve to gray. If you're looking at something and it's too bright, the eye just feels tired physically. But if there's like a nice even match of color, the eye will resolve it all as basically a kind of gray. Impressionist paintings work like this, where it's like very colorful, but the eye resolves it all as a kind of gray, which is very satisfying and relieving. And so the eye feels it is very pleased by those color combinations. In the same way, there's audio combinations that the mind just feels harmony with. It's that's how we hear harmony. That's how we hear things that sound pleasant to the mind. So it just relies on that, and so the sounds resolve into being either more harmonious or whatever. I'm trying not to think about it because I say don't try to do it mentally, like intentionally. So there are some kind of harmonies that the brain knows and is looking for that you might not know consciously, and so each time you go in the correct direction, the brain waves align in the correct way, the audio starts to resolve itself. And the way that the thing it's looking for, the thing it's sort of nudging you along to move towards, in this case is, I think, higher alpha waves. And you start with an intention. You say, they read your intention to you, and they read it over and over, and then you start, and the system just on its own sort of works through this material. It's very interesting. So I'm headed out to do that pretty soon. And folks, thank you for sticking with us to this very strange, interesting live stream. Great to have you here. Great to be with you. Let's see. Okay, that's a old comment. So thank you for being here. I have a wish for you today. My wish is simply that the system itself can allow itself to be, and when the intervening parts of ourselves arise, they can arise, and we don't have to intervene, we don't have to not intervene, just allowing the system to exist as it is right now. It's doing on its own all the time. So having a lovely day. In less than 24 hours, we will be back here. We're going to continue our practice around equanimity and doing practices that will expand our equanimity skills. So looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for joining us, folks. We have no end music or anything like that. I realize I'm moving the mouse trying to adjust this screen, but it's on my phone, so I have to use my touch system. We have no end screen, so we're just going to end the cold ending. So thanks so much for joining us, folks. Great to have you here. If you're watching the playback, what a great day. What a nice time to have you here. And look forward to seeing you soon. Let us know if anyone has any questions. And if you don't know already, in our Discord, we have, it's a section questions for stream. If you want to have your questions answered on stream, let us know. Drop them in the Discord, and we look forward to talking to you folks soon. Okay, folks, have a great day. See you soon. Bye. Oops, I canceled. That's not what I'm looking for. Oh, what does this mean? Oh, okay. Well, it looks like I can actually see who's here. I didn't know I could do that. Let's see. Okay, great. I understand what's happening now. Okay, bye folks. Have a great day. Bye.